Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. I'm your host, Brooke Mitchell, and today's webinar is Seeking Seabirds, exploring the Galapagos aboard the Natural Habitat Petrel with Avian biologist and expedition leader Jonathan Guillen. Thank you so much for being here today, Jonathan. Over to you.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, everybody, for tuning today. For me, it's a pleasure to be able to explain you about this itinerary, these beautiful activities, beautiful itinerary that we have in the Galapagos National Park, right? So I will be more than happy to give information and then to give you some more details if you have any questions for sure. All right. So let's start. Yes, let's start with this presentation. I have some slides, some pictures in order to show you what about this tour in the Galapagos Islands, what we're gonna do. But I'm going to be more focused in some endemic seabirds that just can be found in two islands, right? So we will have some unique opportunities to find these endemic species that can be found just in the Galapagos Islands, as I mentioned before, right? But before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Jonathan. As Brooke said, I am a biologist. I am from Ecuador. I've been living my whole life here in the Galapagos Islands. I grew up here, right? I've been working with birds, with seabirds since 2012. By 2015, I started to collaborate with San Francisco University from Ecuador. I've been leading tours as well in the Galapagos National Park more than 7 years as well. And I've been a couple of years now guiding as an expedition leader for Natural Habitat in the Galapagos National Park. All right. So I have a bachelor in environmental management, and I've been working with some other species from the Galapagos Islands as well, such as sharks, sea turtles, Darwin finches, giant tortoises as well, flightless cormorants. But I've been working directly with the Galapagos Petrel. Later on, I will explain you what about this project I've been working a few years now, right? Muy bien. So, as I mentioned before, I'm going to explain you about the itinerary in the easternmost part of the Galapagos Islands on board the Galapagos Petrel. So we will cover different islands, right? Basically, we will visit one different island each day. We will be traveling overnight in order to reach the next destination. And we are going to spend the whole day on each island. We will have different activities through the day. This tour can be active. Let's say we have many activities through the day, right? The tour is very active, but you decide if you join us to do these activities. Something that the expedition leaders always wants to transmit to our guests is that the activities are not mandatory, right? So you decide if you would like to join us to do the hikes, to do the snorkelings. We are more than happy to take you out and show you the beautiful of the national park, all right? So the outlining for today, I'm going to explain you a little bit of the Galapagos Islands, right? To give you a better idea what is the Galapagos. Then I'm going to describe the itinerary and which kind of seabirds we can see and some other species, of course, some other attractions that we can find during this tour in the Galapagos Islands. And we will have probably 10 up to 15 minutes to talk about the questions that you may have. All right. So the Galapagos Islands. Well, where is the Galapagos Islands? Let's start from the beginning. The Galapagos National Park, right? It is in the Galapagos Archipelago, which is part of Ecuador Republic. This archipelago belongs to Ecuador Republic. We are located in South America. We are located 600 nautical miles, right, in the west, the west, yes, from Ecuador, right. So we are a group. The Galapagos Islands is a group of 13 major islands, and we have more than 100 different rocks or islets around this archipelago, right? So something interesting about the Galapagos Islands is the people or humans, they established it recently in these islands, right? Totally different than Polynesia or Hawaii, where native peoples, they've been there for thousands of years. And it's interesting that we still have a lot of endemic and native seabirds in the Galapagos, right? But lately, do human develop in the Galapagos and all world around as well, or seabirds that nest just in these islands are facing different traits, right? So that is why we have the Galapagos National Park here, and that is why we have different projects running at the moment in the Galapagos Islands to learn more about these seabirds in order to protect them better, right? So during this tour, we will visit the islands from the easternmost part, south as well, and we will visit the north part of the Galapagos Islands as well. Muy bien. So on this slide, what else we can see is something interesting. It's about the topography, the bathymetry of the islands, right? Um, we have the youngest islands. Remember that the Galapagos archipelago is a group of islands that rises from the deepest of the ocean by several volcanic eruptions. So there are islands that have different age than other ones, islands that are higher, islands that are smaller, lower elevation, right? So because each island have a different elevation, because each island have a different age, they have a different weather, and that makes special each island. We will have different kind of life, different kind of adaptations on each island, talking about terrestrial animals or some species of seabirds that are going to be restricted to some islands just because the location of the islands here in the easternmost part of the Ocean Pacific. Muy bien. Once I have said that, let's start with the tour. Right. What about the tour in Ecuador? So this tour combined the mainland of Ecuador, which is the highlands, Quito, plus the Galapagos Islands. So on your first day, right, you will arrive to Quito. A representative from NatHab will be waiting for you, will be expecting you at the airport, and will help you with everything, right? It will organize the transport to the hotel, to do the check-in, to provide information, to assist you if it is requiring anything that you may need, right? So you arrive any time of the day to Quito. You can rest as well for sure during the first day. And the next day, second day of Quito, we will have a full day's activity, right? It's a beautiful activity. I've been my whole life in the Galapagos, but every time that I go to Quito to meet my groups, I really enjoy it because I learn every time more from my own country. We have local guys there who is going to lead the tour. In other words, he's going to explain us about the human history from Ecuador, information about the church, information about the town, all related to Ecuador, right? So we will learn a lot from this visit. We will visit different locations as well during this tour. We will have the opportunity to taste Ecuadorian chocolate, which is a very interesting project about organic agriculture in Ecuador. So we will be able to learn, we will be able to try to taste this organic chocolate from Ecuador, organic cocoa. And we will explore Quito. I won't get into much detail on these activities, but keep in your mind that we will have one day in Quito to learn about Ecuador and also a certain time to rest. We will have a few hours after this tour to rest because after those activities, At evening, our expedition leader will talk about for the activities for the next day, right? We will explain you what about the next day, how is going to be the journey in order to reach the Galapagos Islands, what about the flight, what about luggage, yes, all the information necessary that you will need to know is going to be provided at the end of this day. So the next day, we will get to the Galapagos Islands. In this case, we will visit San Cristobal Island. We will arrive to San Cristobal Island, where our boat, the Galapagos Petrel, is going to be waiting for us on this beautiful bay, right? It's a very small town. The airport is right here, so we will have a very short drive to the jetty in order to reach the Petrel. So this is going to be more or less at noon. We will have lunch on board. The second expedition leader is going to be waiting for us at the airport as well. It's going to be introduced at this place, right? And then together, the two expedition leaders, we will start the activities. We will explain you about the Galapagos Petrel boat as well. What about the Galapagos National Park rules? We will provide your cabins. For sure, we will have lunch on board, as I mentioned before. And then we will let you know what about the afternoon, because the same day that we arrive to the Galapagos, to San Cristobal Island, we will start the activities. We will go to look for frigatebirds. So we will visit Tijeretas Hill, right? Tijeretas is the local name for this beautiful seabird, which is native. Um, we will reach this Mirador Cerro Tijeretas, which means Tijeretas Hill, which is the nesting site, the closer nesting site for this seabird closer to town, right? So we will spend the afternoon in order to reach a easy walk by this path or trail in order to reach a lookout. Something also very interesting about this location is the beagle, the MHC beagle, was anchored here. So Darwin, the naturalist Charles Darwin, he's supposed to landed on this bay. So this was the first area that he explored by 1835, right? So it's a lot of human history as well that we will provide. So we will do a beautiful walk and we will talk about the islands. We may find also some landbirds, right? Like Darwin finches, but we will go to look for the frigate birds, right? They nest by this cliff. Then we will return to town. We will have probably half an hour, no more than 45 minutes, probably free time to walk by this beautiful boulevard by the town, where we have some sea lions colony. We have one and two colonies right in town, so we have some opportunities to have a look of this charismatic mammal from the Galapagos Islands. Then later on, we will return on board and we will have the speech, the briefing for the next day, right? And for sure, dinner. So this is our boat. This is the Galapagos, the Natural Habitat Petrel. This is our beautiful boat that we will use to navigate for the next week in the Galapagos Islands. As you can see, it's a beautiful boat with different decks. All of the cabins, right, they have a private balcony, so you have very good opportunity to enjoy the different scenarios, the different colors, backgrounds that the islands can offer for you, right? So this is our boat. And this is the tender panga dinghy. People also call it Zodiac, which is the brand for this kind of dinghy. This is the dinghy that we will use every day in order to reach the jetties, in order to reach the island, to reach the snorkeling area. We will use every day this kind of jetty. This is a picture that I took this month on board of the Petrel. You can see two sea lions that they were taking a break. They were resting. They were having fun on this dinghy. Sorry. And that is Something interesting to see on this island, San Cristobal, we have the biggest colony of sea lions, right? So that is something that you will see during the first day in the Galapagos Islands. So we're gonna navigate overnight. After dinner or cap time is going to start the navigation for a few hours. Depending the location, we will navigate between 4-6 hours navigation, no more than 7 hours navigation, depending the marine currents, wind currents, of course, right? But every night we're gonna have an overnight navigation in order to reach the next locations. So we're gonna be in a different location the next day. The next day, my friends, we're gonna visit the Española Island, and this is one of the two islands where we have a big amount of different seabirds nesting. We have a highly aggregation of birds here. We have different species nesting in the same island. But something even more special, this is the only island in the Galapagos, the only island in the easternmost Pacific Ocean where you can find the waved albatross, or other words, the Galapagos albatross, right? So Española Island is one of the oldest islands in the archipelago. We will visit two locations. We will visit Punta Suarez and Bahia Garner, Garner Bay. In the morning, we will start with a beautiful snorkeling. This is like a kind of practicing snorkeling. We will try the gear. We will let you know what about the snorkeling activities, right, on this area. And then second activity in the morning, we will visit Garner Bay, where we're gonna do a beautiful walk. We will be walking by this beautiful beach, right? And late in the afternoon, as I mentioned before, we will visit Punta Suarez. So we will visit two locations on this island. We will spend the morning on one location. Then by noon, during lunch, we will navigate. We will navigate for about 45 minutes in order to reach the other side of the island, which is Punta Suarez. Sometimes during this navigation, we can see some seabirds, we can see some marine mammals depending the time of the year. Dolphins, humpback whales. I have seen humpback whales just right here in front of the beach. So yeah, that is just depending the time of the year. So this is Garner Bay. We will visit this beautiful beach. We will do a snorkeling around this area as well, right? So we will spend the morning there. This is one of the attractions for the beach, right? We have a sea lions colony. Our expedition leaders, we will explain you about the biology of this endemic mammal to the Galapagos Islands. We will explain you what about the behavior and biology of this sea lion. And for sure you can have pictures, right? There are just some seabirds around the area, but the nesting site is on Punta Suarez. So I will show you what about it. But we have to focus, we have to let you know about the Española mockingbird, which is an endemic mockingbird, not just to the Galapagos Islands, it is endemic to that island. So this mockingbird just can be found on this island. This is called the Española or hood mockingbird, which is going to be found in all the island, right? But I would like to let you know that it's very interesting, it's very important to talk about this endemic mockingbird to this island. So yes, then in the afternoon, after lunch, once we rest, right? After lunch, we're gonna start the second activities on this island, which is a hike, right? We will do a dry landing on this jetty. We will get good shoes, the best shoes with the best grip that we may have, right, in order to walk by this beautiful terrain. So depending the time of the year, we're gonna see the seabirds nesting on these islands. Most of the seabirds, right, they nest during our cold season, which is called La Nina. This season or this weather just work between May, probably November, no more than December, right? So if you are looking for to find the waved albatross nesting if you are looking to find Nazca boobies, blue-footed boobies nesting, you have to visit the Galapagos Island during our cold season. Because, sorry, cold season, cold water means a lot of primary production, a lot of food for the chicks, in other words, right? So they spend no more than 8 months in the Galapagos. The rest of the year, they spend far away from the marine reserve in international waters, which is Peru, Chile, around Humboldt Current, where they fish. So by a few months, they stay in the Galapagos nesting, and then we won't find them until next year. So this is a chick that you can find sometimes closer to the path, right, while we are walking around. This is the same one that was one of my last visits this year, actually, right? And waved albatross, they are considered critically endangered. Yes, they nest in the Galapagos Islands. We protect them here. The Charles Darwin Center and Galapagos National Park, they are running many researches to protect them and learn more about them. But still, there are some problems, let's say, some threats that they are facing here in open and international waters, like they are dying by long-line fisheries, right? Incidental fisheries as well, bycatch fisheries. So it is needed, it is necessary that the local government, Ecuadorian government, and different governments as well work together to protect this species. As I say, they just nest on Española Island, but they can be found in South America in front of Peru, Chile, fishing, right? But they return to the same island where they hatch as well. So this is another interesting, beautiful picture from Española Islands. If you look carefully, there are some marine iguana here watching this blowhole, which is a natural attraction from this island as well. We may see some blue-footed boobies as well on this island, which the population is considered very small comparing around the 60s, 70s, when the population it used to be more than 10,000. And now we are having just 6,000 of these subspecies of blue-footed booby that just can be found in the Galapagos Islands. But again, if you visit the Galapagos Islands during our cold season, you will be able to see them nesting in the island. Probably we're gonna have the chance to see the chicks right in the path. See, so it's just during our cold season. Nazca boobies as well. Nazca boobies can be found in the same islands. This is the nest of this Nazca boobie. They don't build a shelter nest. They don't hide the chicken rocks like petrels, for example. They use these open areas for nesting, right? So it's so interesting to find them as well along these hikes. They are right in the path during the nesting season. This is the endemic booby to the Galapagos Islands. Red-footed booby and blue-footed booby, they are called native, means that you can find it in other parts of the tropics as well. But endemic booby to the Galapagos Islands is the Nazca booby, this one here. So it's a big colony. They share the nesting area with waved albatrosses. So sometimes we can see waved albatrosses and these Nazca boobies nesting in the same platform, in the same area. So these big birds, they are nesting on this island thanks to the wind currents, the topography of the island, which is mainly cliff, and also the marine currents, the Humboldt currents, which arrive first to this island, which provide or cause the upwellings, right? Which provide a lot of food for these seabirds. And again, something interesting from this island, species that are endemic just to these islands, like the mockingbird with this long curved beak, or the Española mockingbird, the most colorful marine iguana, which is called the Christmas iguana. At this time of the year, November, December, they start to become more colorful as they start the mating season. So it's interesting species as well that we have on this island. The Galapagos hawk, right? Endemic to the Galapagos, is going to be the opportunity to find them on Española Island, right, and also in Santiago Island. But I will say, by my experience, I will say it's more. There are more opportunities to find them here by Española Island. So we're gonna see the Galapagos hawk, which is the top predator in the Galapagos Islands. All right. So again, after Española, after the whole day being out, exploring, doing snorkeling, and looking for seabirds, we will have another navigation after dinner in order to reach this beautiful island, which is Floriana. All right. Again, in Floriana, we will visit two locations. One of them is called Punta Cormoran, and the other one is called Post Office Bay. We will have the opportunity to do hikings, to do snorkelings. We will do kayaking or panga ride as well on this island. Or we can just take it easy and relax at the beach and enjoying the boat, or just having a panga ride around the island. Floriana Island, it have is the place where we have the biggest colony of the Galapagos petrel, another endemic seabird that just can be found in the Galapagos. It nests in 5 islands. Floriana is one of them, and they have the biggest colony. So Floriana Island, they have a lot of interesting facts, starting by human history. Is where we have the first group of people living. Thanks to that, is the island where we have the most extinctions, local extinctions caused in the Galapagos Islands by the arrival of alien species, introduced mammals, or habitat loss, right? So the Galapagos petrel is considered as the waved albatross critically endangered by predators, right? By the habitat loss as well. So the national park is working hard in order to control rats, cats, pigs as well. They are doing monitorings to find where there are new nesting areas. And this is the bird that I've been working a few years in different ways, tagging them, monitoring, creating new nesting areas. I've been working in the highlands of San Cristobal a few years now with this species, right, in order to protect them better. This is a seabird. It's endemic to the Galapagos Islands, as I mentioned before. And for me, it's one of the most amazing species that we have in the Galapagos because the location where they nest, right? Comparing with the waved albatross, blue-footed boobies, and other seabirds that they nest by the shore, by the coastline, these seabirds, they nest in the highlands, right? So they use burrows where to nest, and it's a little bit hard the access there for scientists. We have here a group of friends. This is researchers that we did the last year in order to find out if the chicks are having now microplastics, right? So we are now working to see the health of these seabirds. The problem in some islands is that we have farms now. That means that we have introduced mammals such as cats, rats, pigs as well, goats in some islands that are destroying the area, right? They are causing erosion in the highlands. See, and some introduced plants. This plant that you can see here in the upper part of the screen with this Spanish moss hanging down is a guava fruit. You know probably guava. It is an aggressive plant now in the Galapagos. It's growing everywhere, which is a problem for this bird because when they try to land in these open areas, they can get stuck on these branches. I have found a few birds hanging down by the branches because they got stuck on the branches. They got blocked there. And blackberries as well. There are some blackberries down here. the lower part of the screen that are growing, covering the nesting site of this seabird. So what we're gonna do on Floriana Island, we're gonna start in the morning with a beautiful walk. We will do a landing on green sand beach, right? We will visit this beautiful brackish water lagoon. We're gonna have a walk by this dry forest, right? And we're gonna reach a white sand beach. So it's a very interesting walk. We're gonna see different kind of habitats, starting by the shoreline where we have different birds. Then we're gonna visit this brackish water with different kind of life as well, and white sand beach. So we will visit different ecosystems just in one walk. That means that we will find different kind of life or species on this area. So on the brackish water lagoon, we're gonna try to look for flamingos. The subspecies of the American flamingo or Galapagos flamingo, right, which is considered endangered as well. We just have a few hundred nesting in the Galapagos Island, and this is the biggest lagoon that we have closer to Floriana Island. So we may find some of them depending the time of the year as well. Some of them move to Isabella Island if there is not enough food or the water is not too deep. Sorry, the level is not too deep in the lagoon. So we may find some flamingos. We may find some blue-footed boobies. We have a small blue-footed booby colony there. This is a juvenile blue-footed booby that just is changing the plumage. It's almost ready to take off. We may find some other shorebirds like this heron, a yellow-crowned heron. We're gonna walk by the dry forest, so we will find probably pelicans, frigatebirds, blue-footed boobies around the area as well. But it is interesting that White Sand Beach, it is a sea turtle nesting site. You can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sea turtles early in the morning, right? That they were laying the eggs during the night, and after that they were taking the way back to the ocean. That happened just during our warm season. This is from December probably up to March, April, right? So it's a beautiful place where we can see the sea turtles, and probably sometimes we can see them around the tide line. See? This is a quick video they made about a sea turtle after begging all night on this beach. It's going back to the ocean. Sometimes we have the opportunity to see the frigatebirds patrolling this nesting site because they feed on baby turtles. Right, so it's a good opportunity to find the sea turtles nesting, and at the same time to spot some seabirds. For sure, after this walk, we're gonna do a snorkeling, and we're gonna go to look for sea turtles. In this place, we have a highly concentration of sea turtles, so it will be the best opportunity to find them on this island. So don't miss this opportunity of snorkeling. Then in the afternoon, we will visit post office, right? Which is a beautiful white sand beach as well. This activity is very interesting because we're gonna visit the post office barrel, which is a mail box, in other words, since the 18th century. It's been working. So it's a tradition that is still alive. You can be part of this tradition. The idea is that you pick up a postcard and you're gonna hand deliver it. You can also leave a postcard for your relatives, for your friends, and somebody for the next tours, they're gonna pick it up and deliver it, right? We will explain you about that once you are here in the Galapagos Islands, but this is an amazing activity and I really enjoy it. So funny, so interesting, trying to find postcards. This is also a good excuse to have your next holidays, right? So you can choose where you want to go just by having a new friend postcard. So after the Floriana Islands, we will navigate overnight and we will visit Santa Cruz Island. We will visit two interesting places. One of them is the breeding center, giant tortoise breeding center, and the second one is our own tortoise camp, a giant tortoise reserve located in the highlands of Santa Cruz, where we are going to spend one night. So the day start at Charles Darwin Center, where we have a giant tortoise breeding center. We will talk about the giant tortoise restoration program from the Galapagos National Park and Charles Darwin Center, which have the goal to repopulate the islands with giant tortoise. As you know, the giant tortoise are considered endangered to extinction by overhunting since the last 200 years. So many of them were taken. The idea of this project is to bring the population to different islands where they become extinct. So we will explain you what about this project in captivity, right? And then in the afternoon, after lunch, we will visit the tortoise camp. So after lunch, we will get everything that we may need in order to spend the night in the highlands, where we are going to have a beautiful walk, very interesting walk around this reserve, where we're gonna show you more giant tortoise at the wild. See, interesting that during this day you will be able to see the two adaptations of the giant tortoise. Talking about the carapace, right? They have a different shell according to the island that they are coming from. So we will do a beautiful walk on this area, right in the tortoise camp, tortoise reserve, not half, right? So look at that. We have a giant tortoise there. We have the tents, or we call it like a glamping, right? So this is we're gonna spend the night. See, so we have beautiful open areas where we can enjoy the company of the giant tortoise as well. And this is a tree house. This is also part of the accommodations that we have here. And as you can see, we have many giant tortoises around. It's a beautiful, beautiful area where we will have the chance to take pictures with giant tortoises and for sure to learn more about it. Well, the next day, we will continue the adventure. We will return on board. We will get back on board the Petrel boat, and we will visit Bartolome, which is an island next to Santiago Islands, and we're gonna do an snorkeling and hike or panga ride activity on this island. Right, so this is the walk or hike by this wooden path, right, in order to reach these beautiful lookouts, sparkling volcanoes. The attraction here is to see the geological part of the Galapagos. In the way up, there are a few lookouts where we can take pictures, we can enjoy the view, we can drink water, we can rest, right, in the way up to the lookout. And this is the highlight, what we are there, in order to have the beautiful view of Santiago Island and Bartolome Island as well. Down there, in front of this area is where we're gonna snorkel, is where we're gonna go to a panga ride, see, in order to look for these guys. The Galapagos penguin. This is going to be a unique opportunity and only opportunity on this tour, on this trip, to find the Galapagos penguin. We will do our best in order to show you this endemic seabird from the Galapagos Islands as well. So after that, again, after dinner, after the information for the next day, we will navigate to the second main attraction for this tour for birds as well. So this is Genovesa Island, where we have thousands of birds nesting in the same place, right? Many different species as well. We will visit two locations. We will visit this beautiful beach. We will visit the cliff or El Barranco, Prince Philip's Estate. We will visit 2 different locations. We will do snorkeling here. Sometimes we can see hammerhead sharks by doing snorkeling around this area. Such an amazing activity, such an amazing island, which is Genovesa. So this is the beach where we're gonna do a landing, wet landing, right? We will let you know what about those landings on board. But the idea is to explore this sandy area, this mangroves forest, where we have some seabirds nesting. For sure, after that you will have the chance to do a quick snorkeling or swimming around the area here. But the main attraction is to find the frigatebirds on this island. We will go to look after these frigatebirds, this beautiful seabird. We will go to look for also some red-footed boobies and more frigatebirds for sure. We will go to look for the nocturnal seagull, swallowtail gull, the only seagull that fish at night, right? This is the nest as well. For me, the most interesting part of seabirds in the Galapagos is where they nest, right? Look, this is the egg of them. They collect some coral reef, stones, some rocks to build a nest. So, and then in the afternoon, we will do another visit. After lunch, in the afternoon, we want to do another visit. We will walk a little bit more. This is a longer distance to cover in order to find another nesting site of Nazca boobies. We will go to look for more red-footed boobies. So we have the morning and the afternoon to find them, right? They are restricted to the tropics, talking about red-footed boobies. See? So again, in order to find then nesting, like breeding, you have to visit the Galapagos Islands during our cold season, or La Niña phenomenon. And this is the most rare bird in the Galapagos Islands. This is the lava gull. One of my colleagues from the university where I collaborate, she's working with this seagull, and just there are a few hundred of them in the Galapagos Islands. No records about where they nest, so there is not much information about its behavior, right? So we're gonna go to look for this bird and we're gonna report it. Very good. It's not a seabird, but endemic bird, and which is hard to find in other islands, but there are so many in Genovesa, and if you wonder why, it's because we never did have the rival of introduce mammals to Genovesa. So the seabirds there are nesting as normally as they should do, right? So there are no predation for these land birds of seabirds. So for those that are looking for other kind of birds as well, we have the Galapagos dove there. And the shore earbar owl as well. This is going to be the only opportunity. The owl, sorry, it hunts on or feed on seabirds. So they are on this island trying to get some storm petrels, right? So it's the only opportunity, the only island where we can find this behavior, where we can see them hunting during the day. In other islands where we have the hawk, this owl is active just at night. So in order to avoid competition, in islands where we have the hawk, they hunt during the day and the owl at night, right? So, and then the next day, we're gonna continue the adventure. We will visit Santiago Island. We will visit 2 locations. We will visit James Bay or Puerto Egas, which is intertidal pond lagoons here, right, where we're gonna go to look for many other birds. And then in the afternoon, we will do another snorkeling or panga ride around this ash formation. So this is Puerto Egas. For me, this is one of my favorite places to hike, to walk. If I have to show you the Galapagos, I will take you to this place as well. We have many different species from the Galapagos, since land iguanas, lava lizards, the Galapagos hawk. we may find pelicans, we may find blue-footed boobies, gray blue herons, lava herons, oyster catchers, turnstones, plovers, wimblers, because these ponds, because these lagoons, this is low tide, so this is a very busy place. It's a feeding area for different birds, right? That they came to look for food after high tide. So this is one of the last group, one of my colleagues, right? We are having fun on this kind of natural bridge where we're gonna go to look for the fur seal as well. If you look carefully, probably in the back, we have a blue-footed booby here and pelicans. Right on this activity, we saw like 20 up to 30 blue-footed boobies fishing in the back. We arrived a little bit late, but we were able to see that they were fishing here in the back. That is something unique that we can see in the Galapagos. Another picture, right? We will walk by the rocks. We will go to look for iguanas, the fur seals, but for sure some blue-footed boobies, seagulls, pelicans, and frigatebirds. And this is other group of birds that we can find on this walk, which is interesting also to show you. There are some native and migratory species that can be found on this walk. And then the next day, right, or last day activities before the departure, before the journey back to the mainland, we will do a panga ride. Early in the morning before breakfast, we will visit this lagoon where we're gonna try to look for, we will try to find some rays, turtles, sharks, probably some seabirds as well. The name is called Black Turtle Cove. It's a very good spot to find these sea turtles and different species. Right, it's a mangroves area as well. We have some sea turtles there, probably rays, probably some pelicans, blue-footed boobies, frigatebirds I have seen there, egrets, herons, a lot of species feeding on this mangroves area. All right. So yes, so some good pictures that we're gonna have. That is right before the journey back to the mainland. All right. So I think with that, that is the information that I have for you. And now I would like to know if you have any questions regarding to the tour or seabirds in the Galapagos Islands. Thank you, bro.
Ah, well, thank you so much, Jonathan. That was just such a great tour. I felt like I was there with you, especially with all the photos and everything. So everybody, we have about 7 or 8 minutes of Q&A. In your control panel, please go ahead and drop those questions in. We have a pretty quiet audience, so you were definitely thorough. But everyone, please dump them in there. Alrighty here. Let's see what we have. I do love this question. So, how do you determine the presence of microplastics in young chicks?
Right. It's about the food that the parents are feeding on them. We were getting the regurgitates of the food of the parents and by feces as well, and taking some blood samples. So there were three different ways that we are going to do the analysis. We are doing the analysis now, but we take three different samples, regurgitates, feces, and blood samples. That is how we want to find out if they have ingested microplastic in the last month. The chicks, talking about the chicks. Yeah.
Yes, thanks for that. That is such an important conservation topic, and not only conservation, even for human health. So, definitely interesting to see those results. So, continuing down the bird theme, are penguins considered seabirds or are they not?
Yes, they are seabirds, right? They are seabirds. They lose the ability to fly, but they develop better ability to swim. No, they lose the ability to fly, but they develop stronger wings, right? In order to get propulsion. So yes, they are still considered seabirds.
And switching a little bit to the tour itself, how do bathroom breaks work?
All right, that is a good question. Normally we're gonna be out between 1 hour and a half, 2 hours and a half, and we try to clarify to our guests the how long we're gonna be out. So you will decide if you will join us. Then during other kind of tours inland, we will have facilities every time. So there is no big deal with baños or break for baños once we are closer to town, but once we are in the national park or remote parks, we will let you know how long we're gonna be out, and you will take the decision if you will join us, right? But it is between 1 up to 2 hours excursion. That is how long we're gonna be out. Yeah.
Fantastic. And if somebody is either booked at different seasons or different times of the year, or maybe considering going at different times of the year, could you describe the different seasonality across the year?
Yes, I think I have a picture here. I was expecting that. So this is more or less the weather in the Galapagos, right? So our hot season is from January to May, right? So talking about waved albatross and seabirds, they won't be nesting. You will be fine, yes, red-footed boobies, Nazca boobies, blue-footed boobies, but the difference is that they won't be too close probably to the path. We will find it, but not as many as during the cold season when they are nesting. In the case of waved albatross, we won't see them during this hot season, right? Just during the cold season. Talking about penguins, they stay all year around. Yes, doesn't matter if we have a hot season, cold season. What is important to know is that they stayed in a place in the Galapagos Islands where the weather, the ocean, and the weather temperature remain cold, which is the westernmost part of the Galapagos, and over there is where you can find the penguins all year around. So we have 2 seasons in the Galapagos, and depending what you're looking for, it made a difference. In other good example is about marine mammals. If you want to look for humpback whales, you should come during the cold season as well, right? So about the weather temperature as well, it changed a lot. We have, let me see if this one here, for example, if we compare August with March, you can see how hot is the ocean in the picture. In the photo in the upper part, you see August is our cold month, so the weather in the Galapagos, the water remained cold, but March is very warm, very hot in the Galapagos Islands. See? So I will say if you are looking for seabirds, just specifically seabirds, you should come during the cold season. But in the way of flightless cormorants and penguins, they can be found during the cold season, but just on Isabela and Fernandina Island. Yeah, thank you, bro.
Great, thanks for that explanation. I just received a flood of snorkeling questions, so let's go on that topic for a while. Is
Sure.
snorkeling gear provided, or do people need to bring it? How often do we snorkel? And then is this tour also worthwhile for people who don't snorkel? So if you could just give us the snorkeling 101 for a while, that would be awesome.
All right. Snorkeling gear. We have snorkeling gear for you, but if you have your own mask or if you are using prescriptions lens or you need some prescription mask, please bring it, right? So some people like to have your own mask, a full face mask, but we have mask, the tooth, the wetsuit, and the fins for you. You don't need to bring your snorkeling gear unless you have your own prescription mask or any kind of mask. About how many snorkeling we're gonna do, at least once a day, depending the tour, depending the itinerary. You will do up to 2 snorkelings a day, but in the tour that I described, at least we're gonna do it once a day, one snorkeling a day, up to two, right? And skills, about snorkeling skills, Snorkeling skills is not much important because that is something that we practice. We teach you during the first day. What is important is like to get used to again with the water. Some people like to practice before coming to the Galapagos. 1 week, 2 weeks in the pool, swimming, or probably practice the mass. But my personal suggestions will be, if you haven't been snorkeling in the last year, 2 years, is probably to get used to in the water again, floatability. Yeah, probably trying to practice your swimming skills, flotation. But we're gonna teach you how to use the snorkeling gear. Actually, before kayaking and snorkeling activity, we will have 45 minutes speech of snorkeling activities and safety during the snorkeling. So we take it very serious. The snorkeling activity is something that we like to do and we want you to enjoy it. So we make sure everybody is safe and sound.
And then
Thank
if
you.
somebody maybe really isn't into snorkeling, will they still enjoy this trip?
Of course, of course. If you don't want to do snorkeling, you can join us for a panga ride. You can do a little loop around the area. You can go in the panga. Since we are two expeditions leaders, we can try to accommodate or fit all of the needs of our guests, right? So if you are not into snorkeling, we can offer you other activity, but ideas that you have fun as well, right? Yeah, bro.
Absolutely. As somebody who did join this trip, Jonathan and I were reminiscing. I did this trip a couple years ago, and it was life-changing. It was incredible. And on that, actually, there was a couple on it, and the wife, she did not want to get in the water, but she thoroughly enjoyed herself too. So, yes, thanks for that explanation. So we are down to the last 2 minutes, Jonathan. With that, I will go ahead and stop the Q&A part of it, and I will turn back to you for any last closing comments.
Well, yeah, thank you everybody for taking the time in order to get this information. I appreciate that, and for me it's a pleasure. And I hope you get some information, right? And may you help you to take the decision to come to the Galapagos. I invite you to visit the Galapagos National Park. It's one place that everybody in the planet should visit, just because it's the last paradise. That is how I call it. There are unique places, animals here. You know, we are doing a big effort to preserve the nature here for the next generation. This is your home, your place, right? And yes, thanks to NAHAF and WWF this partnership, because by traveling to the Galapagos Islands, you are already supporting the different projects of conservation that we have here. And yes, thank you so much for your attention. Thank you, bro.
Oh, I could not agree more, Jonathan. As a fellow biologist, this trip was an absolute dream come true. So I recommend everybody go to the Galapagos at least once in your life. But again, Jonathan, thank you so much for presenting today. And I would love to thank everybody who tuned in. Join us tomorrow for our next daily dose of nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including registration links, on our website at nathab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, I will conclude the webinar. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.